It is Sunday, August 1st, 2010. I'm John Balicki, and this is a video for a Firefox cache bug. Let me clarify what the issue is. What I was noticing is that the first style sheet on my website was not loading after I made the page load from the cache. Now, this will also apply to people who notice that their first JavaScript file is not loading. Specifically, it is the first JavaScript or style sheet. So whatever you have first, whatever encounters going top to bottom in the code when the page is loaded from the cache. So let me explain how I came about this issue. And for my regular viewers, this video is not actually really intended for you guys, but feel free to ask questions if you want, but I'm not going to go into the details. This is intended for people who are going to be working to resolve the bug in Firefox. So, anyway, how did I come across this issue? Well, I was using the Unicorn, I believe it is called, validator, where it combined all the validators into a single validator for the W3C, and got my mobile score for the front page of my website up to 100. I was ignoring some warnings, but some warnings I was taking to heart, and I decided, hey, I'm not caching files. Now, for clarification here, version 2.9 of my website, all the content is loaded from a database. So I had to approach the cache issue differently from version 2.8 of my website. When you go to my website, on the bottom left corner, it'll tell you version 2.8 or 2.9 or a different version. The second integer is the major version number. So basically 2.9 is the 29th version. The next version will be 3.0 or the 30th. That's how the numbering scheme works. Anyway, so the cache issue. So what I did was to debug the issue. I have Fiddler open, and what I would do is I would click on Remove All, clear the list of the HTTP requests, and then I would go to Firefox. I would just clear all the private data, just clear everything. I would reload the page, so everything, my front page would all load HTTP code 200, and I'd reload it a second time so that the front page, the XHTML code would be code 304, so not modified, of course. And I would notice that the first style sheet, the main style sheet would not load, but the user style sheet would load. And then I'd have my, below, the script files would be the index.js file and the onload.js file. So debugging, the first thing I attempted to do was to make all the headers exactly the same for both style sheets. And that included not just the caching headers, but also any compression, etc. So for example, the main style sheet was being served as a chunked file. So by chunked, that means the client did not know how large the file was. It was just sending chunks of the file until it finished loading the file. When it was not chunked, I'm still encountering that issue. So basically, I had the exact same headers in every possible regards listed in Fiddler. So then what I ended up doing was taking the main style sheet and loading it after the user style sheet, resetting everything back to default and having everything load from scratch. Turns out that the main style sheet was now loading, and the user style sheet was not loading. So at that point, I decided, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the base element, because my site uses a base element. It makes debugging my website locally and live a lot easier. Same code, and PHP automatically handles everything for me. So, no difference. So then what I did was I took my style sheets and I loaded them after the JavaScript files. After resetting everything, now the first JavaScript file, which is my index file, the index, I have two JavaScript files. The index is nothing that's going to change. Static JavaScript that might change once every few months when I update stuff. The onload is any variable. So for example, when you first go to version 2.9 or newer of my website, the site will execute an initiate function that detects the version of the browser and helps me compensate for any browser bugs, such as this browser bug, which I'll clarify towards the end of the video. So, regardless of whether I was loading the index or the onload JavaScript file, whichever one was first, so if it was JavaScript and then stylesheet, and then if you zoom into JavaScript it was onload or index or onload, whatever, the first stylesheet was not being loaded. So regardless of whether, so in the big picture, if you're loading a JavaScript or a stylesheet file, that would be whatever was the very first one, regardless of the context of what it was, that would not be loaded if the page itself was being cached. If the page was not being cached, all the files would be loaded. Okay, so I hope that's enough clarification, because I can't think of anything else that I would need to troubleshoot at that point. Now, I have a resolution for the bug, which is a workaround. It is a bit of a nasty workaround because most people are not going to be doing this workaround for their site. And I'm pretty sure, I haven't tested this out, but I will be testing this out either today or tomorrow. I'm pretty sure, but not 100% sure, that I can force all the JavaScript and style sheets to load from the cache. Well, another clarification before I go any further, I am not doing any on-page styling or on-page scripting. I load all my scripts and all my styling from an external source on the same server. I guess that's another important point I should clarify. This is all being loaded from the exact same server. So, anyway, what I will be attempting, nice little goodie in version 2.9 of my site, is because I sniffed the DOM, not the user agent, but because I sniffed the DOM, I know via JavaScript, and it is very accurate, what rendering engine and version of the rendering engine I'm using. So if I'm using if the client is using WebKit, Gecko, Trident, or Presto, and what version that correlates to the browser version. Now, if you go to jabcreations.com and you do not see at the bottom left that it is version 2.9, then I have not yet updated to that, and I probably will not update to version 2.9 probably until sometime in September, maybe as late as October. It could be pushed back, but I'm not going to go into the details of why. So version 2.9 is when the live version of my site will have this cache approach implemented. Alright, I'm sorry, there's a lot of details, and I'm not doing a script right now. So what I will be doing, or at least attempting to do, is loading a Firefox, a Gecko specific, not Firefox, but a Gecko specific style sheet or script, whatever is the smallest to load, and it will be in the XHTML code before any of the styling or scripting includes. I'm just going to say includes because I do PHP. And so it'll load that file on the first page load, and then it'll be cached. So even though I will be going to different, the client will be going to different pages because it's loaded in the cache. Hopefully, it won't be requesting this on different pages. But for most people, they're not going to be doing DOM sniffing to determine the version of the browser, which they really should. But and generally, if for people who are having this issue, I would highly recommend sniffing the Moz border radius property, because that's all the way back to Gecko like 0.8, and we're on Gecko 2.0 now, which is kind of nice. To have a consistent object to sniff for. Anyway, I'm running out of time for the video, so I'm going to try that, and I will add notes, the text notes, annotations, or whatever, on the video, and I will answer questions in the video for my regular viewers later on. Thank you for watching, and good luck to the folks working on the bug, and thank you for watching for everyone.